In 2018, I was a correctional officer. This is a picture of when I graduated from Lebanon Correctional Institution in Ohio. Um, One day I got up and went to work just like kind of everybody does, but when you work at a prison, it's a little bit different. I had no idea really what I was in store for when I got that job. Really, really good pay, but let's just say you have to be ready for it. Um, Got up one morning, just like every other morning. Then you go into a prison, you enter a different reality, and then it's not like every other morning. It's a total different way of life from day to day. You have no idea as a civilian or a free person what it's like. You change your views on prison system by the time you leave something like that. But I was working isolation block, um, limited privilege housing, as it's politically correct. Um, and there was a fellow there that had, I think, tried to stab somebody in the yard. You know, you hear stuff on TV, and yeah, that stuff actually happens. Um, and he was in isolation, but he was a person who also liked to throw feces on other people, guards, and such. So he had to be regulated. So he wanted to do a transfer, and he was starting to play nice, and he came over to isolation block from something called L block, which was like way worse as far as lockdown. It's for guys that like to throw feces on other people. So he was playing nice, and he came into isolation block that morning. My shift started probably like 6, and he said, "Well, I wanna be in a cell with someone, not to me, but to the supervisor of the block, because I was still pretty new." And he said he wanted to be roomed with someone, and that's like a request that some people do that they actually give people, maybe because they could use the company. And the supervisor came down and said, "Okay, cool, put him in with somebody else." Well, he put him in with a child molester of who was known around the prison, and he was on my tier, which was the second tier. So I'm doing my rounds, and you look in the cell and you see what's going on and make sure everything's copacetic. Well, I walk through, I don't know, 2, 3 times an hour. I think a couple times an hour is what they require that you walk through. Maybe I can't remember. It's been a while. Um, and then walk around the maybe like 2 hours into the morning, and then we have a porter, which is a guy that cleans up and takes care of the block, a prisoner, and he's like, "You better get up here," because when I had passed on my last round, the guy that I'm referring to that was wanting to be roomed with another person killed the guy that was his cellie. So I run up there and look in, and yeah, there's a guy over in the corner, and he's not moving. So that starts what they called a signal 3, which was all hands come help, medical emergency, all that stuff. And then that proceeded. So that day was very interesting. I'm just a guy that's trying to make a paycheck and get some cash or whatever. And now I'm going through this process of which I have no idea. By the end of the day, I was talking to the Ohio State Patrol and being recorded about what went on. I guess I did not at the time realize the gravity of that situation. So I ended up working there for a little bit longer. It really didn't traumatize me too bad. It traumatized me as much as it would somebody else. But I ended up leaving that job because, prison work sucks. Sorry for anybody that works in it that can deal with it. My son actually works in it, and he does just fine because he's young and he can deal with stuff, I think. I have a few theories on it. But I left, and gosh, I went and started working at a car wash after that. I was a mechanic for a while. And then I got a subpoena in the mail, and I had to go to a murder trial. And I thought, I did not realize, for some ignorant reason, that I would have to go to a murder trial. That's kind of how dense I can be sometimes about stuff. When you walk away from something and somebody gets murdered on your watch, and then you go, well, I want to get the hell away from that. So that was the day that a prisoner murdered another prisoner because he said he didn't like him because he was a child molester when I worked as a corrections officer.